Hello everyone. This video will be about the water wheel that my cousin John McDermott made for me, made for the Ambulua mission at his own residence, his own farm at Placid, Iowa, and then sent it on to New Guinea. This video will be dedicated to John, to his memory, because this was his idea. We corresponded with each other very often when I was in the missions, and he helped me very, very much in getting different little things together and sending them over to me. And we corresponded very frequently, as you can see from all these letters that he kept and that Rita and Pat gave to me recently. These are all letters that I sent to John from the time that I was in New Guinea until the time he died. And they are very interesting, but far too bulky and full of information to include in this video, of course. But in case any of you would be interested in reading these letters, I would be most happy to loan them to you. Also, this album before me is the book, is the album with minute instructions of how to put this water wheel together once it arrived in Ambulua. And this too is a work, a masterpiece of someone trying to forward instructions to someone thousands of miles away to assemble a product that was made back here. And this album goes through all of that, of how to assemble the water wheel in different parts. It gives pictures of it, photos of it, as they were assembling it and putting it down. When I say they, I mean John and his brothers, as well as my dad and many of the other McDermott's and friends and neighbors of John. And this too is deserves to be kept in some archive someplace or other, and I've tried to include some of the main points that are in this album. For those of you interested, this album too would be available for those of you who would like to borrow it. At the very beginning of this lecture, of this video, I must make clear to you that in this video we will be speaking about two water wheels. John made two water wheels for Ampua. The first was of wood and was sent there and installed and worked very well, but it was swept away by a flood, a vicious flood, on the Amanum River on March 17th, 1969. John then set to work and made another wheel, this time out of steel, and then that was also sent to Ampua. And the blessing of this water wheel was in November of 1970. These water wheels were devised and invented, I might say, by John, constructed by him, assembled and put together, as I told you before, at Placid Island, even put in the creek there, Fern Creek, to make sure they work before you send overseas. And then they were boxed up, put into crates, and taken to Techney, to our mission office there. If I remember correctly, John and Calvin McDermott and my dad took them down by pickup. I hope I'm not missing anybody that helped there, but those are the names I remember. And Brother Ambrose, our shipping agent, seeing that they got on the boat wherever. I heard that I don't know the exact route they came, but they came from San Francisco or down through New Orleans. But anyway, they were put on the boat and they followed then more or less the same route that my cases and suitcases and crates had in 1953. And they were packed very, very nicely. Brother Ambrose didn't have to repack them or anything like that. And then they made their trip overseas. These crates and boxes, big boxes, as we might call them, arrived at Madang, harbor of Madang, via boat, via ship, and then they were taken to the airport there, Vinewood Airways at Madang, And there they had, the bigger boxes had to be opened and unpacked and to put into smaller containers so they could be taken into the islands, to the airport nearest to Cole, nearest to Ambulo, I should say. At that time, the first water wheel especially, neither, I should say, the Ambulo airport was not finished yet, but the Cole airstrip was. And so parts for the water wheel, the first water wheel, were brought into Cole, and then later on, when we were working on the second water wheel, they were able to be brought into Ambulo. But in any case, they had to be carried long distances, especially from Cole, which was 4 hours away from Ambulo, carried overland by Ambulo natives, carrying these large boxes. So you can imagine what an effort that was for the people to get that job done. But they did so very willingly and enthusiastically, and they played a big part in both getting the water wheel to Ambulo and installing it. And of course I must mention the pilots there, of course, flying the parts in. What a great job they did. Father Huff, Brother Larry, Brother Tony, to help with this project. So once the water wheels arrived at Ambulo, on different occasions, of course, at different times, why we had the job of assembling them and installing them and getting them running. Of course, this was it took a period over months and even years, because I did not stop all my other mission work of catechizing and teaching in school to install a water wheel, but tried to sandwich it in between these duties. As I mentioned before, I had great help from the Ambulo people themselves, and on occasion I had some of my confreres come in, which was a very hard thing for them to do, to get away from their stations too. But Father Tony Ressler, my good friend from Curupia, he helped me immensely with the second water wheel. And then there were other, Father Shuby from Sekiro, the Wabag area, he came in and helped me, I remember, with the first water wheel. Father McVinney was with me there over a weekend. I think he was at Madang at that time. And Brother Michael, Charlie Lee, He came in from Hagen on a couple of occasions to help with the wiring, as did Roger, a VSO, a lay missionary. I'm probably missing somebody along the line there, but anyway, I had lots of help with this as I needed it. I was not an electrician, anyways close to it, but following John's instructions and all these wonderful diagrams that he had made for me, I was able to do a lot of it myself, and then depend on some of the experts to come and help. And so in that way, we were able to assemble this water wheel that John had devised, constructed, and sent across the seas. I'll give you a brief description of the water wheels. As I said, the first one was made of wood and was smaller than the second one. The second one was made of steel. Each one had 11 paddles. Well, first of all, it was an overshot wheel. You're probably aware of different types of water wheel. You have the overshot, the undershot, the wheel, the pelt, and the turbine. This was an overshot water wheel, where the water goes over the top of the wheel, turns the paddles, and then produces power in that way. This water wheel, we'll talk mainly about the second water wheel. The second water wheel was a drum about 6 feet wide, with 2 ends on it also about 6 feet in diameter. Connecting these two sides were, as I said before, 11 slots where paddles, wooden paddles, were to be placed, so the water would go into these cups and force the wheel to turn. Coming from the center of the wheel was a 2-inch shaft, about 6 feet long, going out into a shed that we made. And this shaft was connected to 3 transmissions in line, 3 old truck transmissions. And on the last transmission was an 18-inch pulley, which went to the generator that had a pulley of 12 inches. And so as the water came over the water wheel and turned the water wheel itself, which went about 60 RPMs, by the time it got to the generator, through the ingenuity of John, the revs would be up to about 1800. And that is what the generator was geared for. And it produced about 3 kilowatt of power. So that is a very brief description of this water wheel. The water wheel itself we left out in the elements. We didn't need to have that undercover. But then the shaft we brought inside to a nice permanent building that we made that you will see in the pictures. And then the 3 gearboxes, one after the other, with the belt going to the generator. So that is a brief and very simple description of the water wheel that John made for the Ambulwa mission. After editing this video time and time again, adding, subtracting, deleting, and so forth, I still have an afterthought. In mentioning some of the people that helped me, I knew that I would miss someone. And 3 of those people that I missed I want to put in this little segment. In mentioning the pilots, I forgot to mention Father Joe Wallachy. And how I could forget that, I don't know. It wasn't done on purpose. But anyway, I want to mention him because he was one of the SVD pilots that helped me so much at Ambulua. In fact, in the morning, the same day that he was killed in a plane crash at Dinglagu, Keiko Subu, just my next door neighbor, he had flown over my place on the first flight to that same airstrip. Also, I wish to mention Joe McDermott, a cousin of mine from Chicago, who spent, I think it must have been at least a couple years with me at Ambulua as a lay missionary, and he helped me very, very much. And how I could omit his name, forget his name, I don't know. And then also Ken McDermott, a lay missionary that worked at Bonds, and as I was rereading some of John's letters, I see that I had sent different parts out to him of the water wheel at different times to be welded. So I know I still will be missing some of these people, but anyway, I wanted to definitely include these 3. And as with any project, major project, it's seldom a one-man show, and it certainly was not in this case either. I had many people helping me, both my confreres and friends, and of course the people of Ambulua, as you can see from the pictures, how helpful they were in constructing the water race, in helping me transport all these parts from Cole, and at one time even Karawagi, and of course all the time bringing the parts down from the airstrip at Ambulua itself. And so I'll leave it go at that, and if I have forgotten anyone else that helped me with this project, I hope that you will overlook this misgiving. Now you probably are wondering how we got the water even to the water wheel. The Almaden River, as you can see in pictures, was a very fast flowing river and absolutely destructive in times of flood. So just luckily there was a little curve at the river there at Ambulua, and so at that curve we built a flood wall and tried to take just a little piece, very, very minute piece of the river out into this flood wall through a opening of about 4 feet, and then bring it down a runway of about 120 feet to the water wheel. So the water from the Almaden would enter through this flood wall, through an opening that we had made there, and with cement and everything. And the opening, on the opening was a steel gate that could be lifted up and down by means of a winch. When we were using the water wheel, we would open the gate. When we were not using it, we would keep it shut, and especially in flood time. But anyway, this race then of 120 feet was also about 4 feet wide, maybe about 8 inches high, and 120 feet long. And so that water that came in there was running about 12 feet per second. So that is the source of the power of the water wheel, bringing this water out of this fast-flowing stream in through a small opening and then down a race, down a water sluice to the water wheel itself, flowing over the top, going through the water wheel, coming out the bottom, and then going again out in a race back into the Amrum River. You may ask, so why even bother with a water wheel at Ambula, or why even have power in such a very remote outstation? I suppose that's a good question, and maybe one that I can't answer all that clearly. But anyway, it was a way of getting ahead. It was a way of enjoying life a little more. It was also the reason for trying to bring a civilization to these people way in the outback. After the water wheel was installed, we were able to have lights in the schools there on the station. We were able to have lights in the church, have services in the evening, also have night school. A big thing, even before we had the schools completed, which were made out of timber, we were able to use the saw and the planer that was powered by the water wheel for all those different duties. One thing I remember too, we were able to show movies at night to the natives, both entertaining ones and instructional ones. Also on station we had deep freeze, could permit us to keep meat for a long time or other things. Also had electric frying pan, had iron, and right now at this time I'm sort of speechless, I forget what, but there were many things. Oh yeah, we could charge the batteries, we had a battery charger, frying pan, radio, all these things were able to be run by electricity. So it was and of course remember, especially at Christmas, we really went all the way out of the way to put up very nice lights that had been sent to me from the States, and celebrate Christmas in a grand way, decorate the church, especially even a kunai roof with the cross on top yet, all lit up, very beautiful. So all in all, I think it was a good move, and something that John could contribute. I often ask John, I says, you know, you're so handy at so many of these things, we could just use you right over here in the missions, especially since you're not married and you don't have any independence, and wouldn't it be nice to spend a couple years out in the missions with me? But the answer always was, though I'd like to do that, but I think I can do more for you back here. And so that's the way that went. So the advantages of the water wheel were many, and glad that we were able to follow John's instructions to install the water wheel and to have electricity at this very remote outstation. So in my closing remarks, I would hope that you have enjoyed this video, as you have told me you have enjoyed so many of the others. But even more importantly, hopefully, it will have the installation of the water wheel. I hope that it will have brought the local people a little closer to realizing some of the comforts of life. I hope it brought them closer to working together as a community, and that our efforts will serve as a good example for hard work and determination and initiative for future generations. As with all things, as they say, nothing is forever. So I cannot tell you the state of the water wheel at Ambu today. It's over 30 years ago since I last went down there and down to the water wheel and greased those bearings. Time has a way of forgetting. Time has a way of changing things, has a way of destroying things. Perhaps the water wheel is no longer running, but I will always remember the adventure and the accomplishment as one of the great challenges among the Dambu, I should say the Damba, the Dingiku and Kundiku tribes that I lived and worked the most. So this is the end of the movie of the water wheel. I think I told you in one of my last videos I had to put it off one video later or something. I couldn't find half the stuff I was looking for, but I came up with all this album and these letters that I had written to John, and I didn't think that I would be able to get this video out on time as I wanted to, because of Christmas, because of many other things, but actually we're right on target. What my next video might be, I don't know. Getting sort of to the end of ideas, but I have a couple, I can't even remember what they are now. I think it's something about human interest of the people amongst whom I work. Just ordinary pictures. They might be washing clothes, and they might be decorating for a sing-sing, or they might be going to school, or they might be just working in the fields, something like that. I was thinking just the ordinary daily living. I suppose that's been brought out already in some of the other videos, but I thought I might concentrate on the next one on that, and so maybe we will come up with something like that. Anyway, Christmas is coming close. I hope that you will have a very Merry Christmas and all the blessings that go with it. This is Father Joe from Divine Word College on this, what is the day? I can't remember the day, but it's sometime in December. And so until next time, God bless you and pray for me. So this is the end of the movie of the water wheel. I think I told you in one of my last videos I had to put it off one video later or something. I couldn't find half the stuff I was looking for, but I came up with all this album and these letters that I had written to John, and I didn't think that I would be able to get this video out on time as I wanted to, because of Christmas, because of many other things, but actually we're right on target. What my next video might be, I don't know. Getting sort of to the end of ideas, but I have a couple, I can't even remember what they are now. I think it's something about human interest of the people amongst whom I work. Just ordinary pictures. They might be washing clothes, and they might be decorating for a sing-sing, or they might be going to school, or they might be just working in the fields, something like that. I was thinking just the ordinary daily living. I suppose that's been brought out already in some of the other videos, but I thought I might concentrate on the next one on that, and so maybe we will come up with something like that. Anyway, Christmas is coming close. I hope that you will have a very happy and Merry Christmas and all the blessings that go with it. This is Father Joe from Divine Word College on this, what is the day? I can't remember the day, but it's sometime in December. And so until next time, God bless you and pray for me.